I'm the CISO for JioStar. Today, what I'm going to be talking to you about is resilience. And why are we talking about it now? And how do we go about it? And what changes in resilience? Like, we all have been doing security for decades now, right? What changes? I'm going to start with, you guys can see the image clearly? Or is it pixelated? I don't know. It seems like a blue thing coming. Okay, I'll explain the image. Today, we all have spent good 2 decades. All the vendors have told us, hey, you know what? If we buy enough tools, invest enough, we're gonna build enough big walls, we're gonna be secure. Which is an example of an oak tree that you see here, which is a strong, rigid, and big. And then there is also bamboo trees. I'm not sure how far you can see, but there's a set of bamboo trees who looks weak. But when a storm comes or hurricane comes, the first one to snap is not the bamboo trees, but the oak tree that we have. Now, why does an oak tree breaks and why bamboo trees don't, while they look weaker, is something we're going to cover in this session today. All vendors have told us, if we build good enough fortress, we buy their EDR, we buy their CNAP tool, we buy a zero trust solution, we can build a castle and no one will be able to get through into our ecosystem. And all we have to do is keep on investing, because it's the new fancy thing that comes out and we want to get it because that's the next silver bullet we want to have. But we have to understand, with all the things, all of you have seen, breaches don't stop. And also, your business isn't a fortress, it isn't static. It's generally Mumbai's traffic. You have an infrastructure, you have vendors, you have customers, you have partners. Everyone is going all the way, while you wanted people to move in a certain manner, but people are moving all the way and you can't control. Also, understand the way security has been looked at is, for business, movement is revenue. And if you build a fortress in Mumbai, you are setting up a gridlock. And a gridlock means death for business. And that's when the security becomes the enemy, because you are the one setting up that gridlock. And the reality is something we have to understand, that, hey, how do we ensure that business keeps moving? And we are not the bad guys putting business to hold, because we are trying to build a fortress in Mumbai. Like, that's the angle we have to look at it. And the whole point is chaotic, messy. And it's never going to be a fortress with proper walls, everything, with the moat that's going to protect you. It's not going to happen. The way to define resilience is this quote from Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in face. You deployed EDRs, implemented zero trust, cloud security, all the new things that you had. What's now? You have enough people, you have hired enough people, everything, you have 100-pager plan, all of that exists. But Friday, 4 p.m., attack happens, your firewalls couldn't protect it, it went in. That's you getting punched in the face. Now, it's not about, hey, why did it happen? It's more about, hey, can you withstand that punch and fight back? Because that time, looking for approvals, looking for people, looking for someone to make a decision, it's going to be a dead end. So the idea is to think about resilience is, not preventing that you're not going to get punched, but knowing you're going to get punched and training to stand those punches. The way to start about resilience is to first thing is, how do you change the conversation? And that starts with you having your conversation with your leadership. Here, we have been answering, are we secure? Depending on people, we say, oh, we did this, we did that, all of this, right? Stop that. That's a vanity metrics. That sounds impressive, doesn't help business to understand, appreciate anything in security or resilience. What I want you to do is think about from the perspective of how you can coach them to ask the right question. Because if this is a highway we talk about and they want to move fast, your job is not, and you cannot prevent accidents. Your job is to make sure those accidents don't convert into funerals. And how fast you can get back and make the road running even if you hit an accident. Now for that, what you have to do is change the way and the tone of conversations with them and coach them. Hey, how fast can we recover? If there's an incident, how fast we can still keep on releasing features? How do we get back up? Those are questions, and I've written a good blog about all the flawed questions the leadership ask that doesn't make sense but seems right, and how to go about answering those questions. Now, while we are talking about resilience, we all have been caught up with this debate about, hey, organization wants to go fast, but then we ask, hey, but do you want to be secure or not? And the answer always has been, oh, like one of the people are not happy. And the way I define is this via this quadrant. If you are slow and insecure, you're going to be dead very soon. If on the highway you want to go fast, but you're not secure, and you're insecure, you're going to hit it into a crash sooner or later. And you can be lucky, you can get through multiple times, but sooner or later you're going to hit a crash. If you are slow and secure, you are sort of dead, right? Like, think about this, me talking about, let's say if there was an India-Pakistan match happening right now, and first JioStar app says, hey, you know what, do a 2FA, do a Face ID scan. You're like, I am missing that ball. You don't care about the security at that point in time. What you care about is, hey, I need to move at certain things really fast. But at the same time, how do we secure? That's the point of being resilient, where you do not stop the business, you do not gatekeep, but empower them. And that's the whole conversation of, fine, if we hit a crash, we know we can survive, we will get through it, we have a plan for it. So the way I'll switch it is, the problem, the way we have been asking the question is wrong. Instead, the way security asks is, how do we stop accidents? How do we stop attacks? How do we stop malwares? That's not going to happen. The question to ask is, how can we get through and how fast can we get through if we get hit by an attack, regardless of what kind of attack, and how prepared are you? So this debate of security, speed versus security has to go away, and the resilience piece needs to come into picture. This, just expanding the idea about security and resilience, right? We built an unsinkable ship, Titanic, right? It had a huge budget. It was robust, massive, expensive, but it was brittle. It had a huge budget. It was designed without a plan B because the design was massive, and the investment went in because we thought this is going to solve all our problem. And then we had less lifeboats because they felt like clutter. Because, hey, the ship is not going to sink. We have planned for it. And we know what happened. The goal is not to build an unsinkable ship, but build a ship that doesn't sink. Understand the difference between two simple statements? Not build an unsinkable ship, but build a ship that doesn't sink. That means just saying, hey, I have EDRs and CNAPs and all the other tools that we need. How can we ensure we can survive the crash? That's the whole goal versus looking for the Titanic that will solve all my problem. No, it's not going to solve. Now, the idea of why we need resilience is established. I want to talk about and give you a blueprint of how to build a resilience, right? Resilience cannot be bought. It's not a resilient appliance that you can buy and put it in a rack in your data center. It's not a product. You can't write a check for resilience. And vendors will hate this. But that's the reality. It's the process that you work. It's the mindset that you need to have, and you cannot have a product for resilience. Now, why can't you buy resilience? In my earlier example, if you get an attack, and I'll talk about with a couple of examples of F1 in next slides. Let's get to it. The way to how to go about building resilience is three-part: build right, measure right, and tell right. We're going to go into why build right matters. Now, while we have heard about people, process, and technology, it's the same thing with a different take, my personal take on it. If you see in terms of people, I haven't put a hacker, solo hacker with a hoodie here. What I have put up is an F1 pit crew who can change the tire in 2 seconds. Their job is not to stop the car. Their job is to ensure cars keeps running in the race. And we'll go deeper in all of these three, talk about it. Right processes. Process has been a fancy word for dirty paperwork. Putting more things in place, gatekeeping more. Process should not be way to open gates, but gears to make the company move fast. And how can we leverage the modern technology about it? And we're going to talk about it. Now, the image on your left is what you see. I'm not talking about hiring more people, nor training the people that you already have. We have all created compliance zombies where we play a video and then we do our laundry so that video gets complete and we can just answer that question. That's not, sadly, that's the state of how most organizations work in terms of security culture, but that's not what it will scale. What we need are champions who, when an event happens, they are not looking for approvals. They are not looking for someone to make a decision. They have muscle memory of what needs to be done. So the moment car stops, they know their job is within a second, change the tire, put it in, and move. This has to come in and not treat like, hey, you know what, make them sit through another 100 training so they will learn. That's not how anyone learns. That helps you get your checklist done, but that's not how we will improve the culture. And that's the whole point of being resilience versus the standard security way. Right process. And I wanted to bring the cricket analogy to it, right? We see people playing in nets, no rains, no pitch invaders, no noise, no pressure, everything is hunky-dory. Versus the process where if rain hits or pitch invaders are there or lights go off, how can my team cover the pitch? Or will they struggle to pull and cover the pitch? Have you trained them enough to be resilient in terms of when a calamity hits? Now the processes have to build from that perspective, not in a lab environment where you know, hey, everyone is able to manage. And one thing I want to say, the processes have to, you guys as the leaders have to ensure the processes are boring and have a predictable recovery. That should be one of the metrics. We'll talk about metrics in coming slides, but in process, that should be your goal. It has to be boring and predictable for everyone. The next thing is platforms, right? Why we can talk about all the AIs of the world, all the fancy tools of the world, and all of us have 47 different tools set up, they work, they don't talk, then we buy a tool so that they can talk or visualize in one place. We're just adding more tools to solve one particular problem, and the reason I've put up this image is consider this as your body, right? If I ask you, are you healthy? And you're going to specific doctors and they're writing specific medicines as per certain things, and no one is looking at holistic view. And this is exactly what happens in security. Now you need a team that has to manage all of it. Versus I'm saying, biology has solved this million of years ago. All of us don't have to go to a doctor when you inhale a germ. You have an immune system, you have white blood cells, they know what to do until unless it's a very edge condition, they know what to do and how to manage your body. That's the whole process of building that resilience in place. Second is not to talk about how many germs we have killed, but measure the heartbeat and say, hey, I am good enough that regardless of things happening, my heartbeat is stable. Again, the whole idea was to give you guys analogy that you can understand, else I could have made it really technical, talk about resilience, but it's so basic that we don't even think about it. Tell right? Again, there's a CISO talking binary, someone understanding. So think of this Mandarin versus English. Two people are talking, both of them are not able to understand each other. What do I mean by this? Is this. You tell, hey, we block 10 million threats. Okay. What they hear is, you are spending a lot of money. You say, hey, we have 99.9% uptime. What they hear is, hey, there is a 0.1% chance of failure. We are SOC 2 certified. And they're like, so what? Isn't that your job to get compliance done? Why are you telling me something that we hired you to do? Right? And this is where we say, hey, like this is a thankless job. Yes, because you do not invest time, you know it needs to be done. This is a basic necessity for me to survive. And it's not something I should try to make it more efficient. While you try to make it efficient, but it has to be boring. And then measuring the right thing that matters and not counting the efforts and the inputs, but the output metrics. And the last slide, also I'm almost on time, I want to leave with you is the traditional CISOs are the wedding planners. One thing that goes off breaks the whole thing. They are ensuring everything should work perfectly. They are looking for the grand things, the grand decoration and all of that. A resilient CISO is that tent guy who knows that he has to have a backup generator, party keeps going on, rain comes or doesn't come, he has planned it from that perspective. And he is not gonna blame something that happened unexpected, which a wedding planner would do because he didn't thought that could happen. So don't pray for sunshine, build for the rain, so that party never stops. That's all I had. Thank you.
Audience, do we have any questions? Yes, can you pass on the mic, please?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Shadab. Hi. I am from JioCredit. I head the IT and IS audit there. Coming back to the point where you mentioned that, we have to be prepared for the incidents, translating to resiliency.
Yes.
Considering the current landscape where we have many vendors, right, connected to our network, where our applications are mostly SaaS or third-party managed, how do we prepare for such a incident, or how do we do a testing, right, for preparedness where we are, our applications are vendor managed? How do we get them on board and do perform the testing, right? That's the difficulty we face in the current scenario, even for CISOs.
Sure. And that's exactly why I had the image of Mumbai traffic, where you have animals, you have rickshaws, you have cars, you have pedestrians, you have road dug up. All the things you can't control, right? With that, you're still buying a car, and you have two-wheelers and all of them all together with the rains coming in, right? None of this you control, but you need to ensure how to keep everything flowing at the same time also. Right? Like that was the whole idea of my analogy of fortress and this. You are coming from that idea, hey, I want to build a fortress. So everything comes through me, I validate, I gatekeep, I certify, and I go. While as an idea, this is good, Practically, it's not. And that's where Mumbai traffic where, okay, guys, how can we do if the road has to be dug up, what needs to be done? How much area would go in that? If the cars are coming, what times of the day, how do you gonna plan about it? While your question is open-ended, so my answer will be slightly open-ended and we can chat about it more specific. But the point is, how can you ensure instead of get away with the idea that I have to build a fortress? Okay, how can I ensure if someone gets hit, right? Whether by a car, an animal, a two-wheeler, a cycler, a pedestrian, what can be done that an ambulance can come in? How would you go about solving those things? And that's where the idea of from security to resilience was the whole goal of changing the way you think about resilience has to be very different from saying, hey, you know what? This should not happen. So the question was, hey, my vendors can screw up and I don't want that to happen. As they will, and that's okay. How will you manage if they, and how would you get to know? Are you dependent, on them to informing you, or can you get them real time? Can you build around that piece? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, partly. We'll chat later for sure.
Cool. Any
further questions? Yes, can we pass on the mic, please?
Hi, this is Astha from ICICI Securities, and I'm leading AI businesses over there. So my question is with regards to how the modern CISO is different from the traditional CISO, and how he can be more proactive and predictive with regards to the security and implementations.
Sure. I exactly had a slide for the CISO roadmap talking about that, where I said there are 4 things make security boring. Fire yourself from the routine decisions, right? Measure the right thing, tell the right things. So the point is, the way to look at security is very different. And the last slide also, the analogy of trying to build an unsinkable ship, or that wedding planner that nothing can go wrong. No, it cannot happen. Again, I'm just playing on the analogy. Your food guys will screw up. Your people on the floor will do something, your florist will do something. That's okay. Now, the whole idea is about resilience from that piece. How can you ensure that you are measuring the right things, you are preparing for the right things, and you are working on the right things? Because else you are measuring the wrong things, then the whole conversation changes because you try to build around that.
Okay. So, do you have any analogy on ML ops or AI ops kind of pipeline, pipeline CISO implementation kind of?
Analogy for what?
For AI ML operations pipeline, security, and how we can have more defending CISO implemented over there.
Why is it different from anything else?
Okay, because we have to, secure our LLMs. As you said already, we have to introduce it to our pipeline apart from firewall.
If you are into, let's say, healthcare, you don't have a tech team. That means even basic applications are being developed by someone else, right? So now you have a code that you didn't build. You have to deploy and use in your systems. That's exactly what an LLM is. Okay. See, the point is the way you want to label things. Oh, LLM. I'm saying it's a code you didn't build, you didn't understand, and you're using in your system. Now the security to manage all of that is going to be the same. I understand that. Hey, for LLM there are certain different things. So the way it works from storage to compute to network to cloud are different things. But your first principle thinking has to be very sorted. Because if you look at second order thinking and you don't go on first principle thinking, you are again buying into, hey, can I build a Titanic? Right? Because then you're like, hey, because then everything will be sorted. It's not. You still can't secure a third party code. Forget LLM, right? So the idea to don't look for those silver bullets, but okay, pipelines will fail. what resiliency, what observability, what traceability do I have built in? The way to look at from that perspective.
Yeah. Thanks for answering.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.